I'd like to go to the audience now to vote for one of the questions that we'd like to hear from you around. So you should have, I think, an app on your table asking you to vote. So the question for us at the moment is around technology being a threat or an opportunity, which is one that you've probably discussed quite often. So do you think technology is a challenge to leadership or an opportunity? Vote A if it's a challenge, and vote B if you think it's an opportunity. I think you'll need a few minutes before I can come back and tell you the results of your own voting. So is that okay? Okay, so we'll come back to that in a few minutes. In one of the other sessions, we were talking about the I generation, which is the next generation that universities will need to cater to. We expect that generation would have a completely different demand and learning habits and communication behaviors, since they've never really lived without technology. As you were saying, they live and breathe technology. So how would you envisage your own university to develop in the future to cater for that generation? And also, I guess, bringing back the concern of the academic faculty here, who would argue very strongly that unlike theatre, where you have to adopt your acting technique and your content, it remains the same, expertise itself isn't that malleable. So yes, you can communicate expertise in a different way, but you don't want to dumb down that expertise. But how do you make that expertise relevant to the I generation? So I think I'll come back to that question for you. I guess before we go back to the voting results, I'm interested, President Hwang, on your thoughts about this.
Our university actually has the first initiated the mobile campus back in 1997, where we give our students a notebook computer, and then they can go just about anywhere on the campus and can get access to all the internet. So afterwards, we put all different types of digital-based programs, as I mentioned before, SNOW or OCW or ubiquitous-based courses, or all of it, what we call student-based classes based on the digital development. So we call it a smart campus by having just one smartphone. You can take courses. It does give identification, of course, just about everywhere. So these all these devices, digital devices, really accommodate what we call I generation. And by doing so, at this time of the year, the future university's model will really change in the direction where individually tailored programs are in great need. And I think it is really possible by giving individual students a individual major by using these digital devices. So these I generation students, of course, they demand on their personal basis. But then that doesn't really mean that they are selfish, they are self-centered. I think in many sense, they began to see more of their neighborhood. So I generation, they are very digitally sensitive and multifunctional. But I think I really have strong hope for them because, of course, they demand based on their own needs, but they were also able to see right next to them through SNS that what is their neighbor students, their classmates really needs on a social basis, and also on a campus life basis, or sometimes if they really need their support. So I really have hope, the strong, really rather strong hope for I generation, not just because they are pretty good at using digital devices at all, but that really provides our students to see not just their personal level, but more of public level. And they should be able to see the public goods, what is public goods, and they should be able to pursue with their classmates for the better program, and also for the better university, and for the better community, and also ultimately for the better community per se. So to say that they have, of course, great demands, but then that demands, I think it has very meaningful demands in it. It's not their own, but their neighborhood's demands as well.
Thank you. I think thank you. I think that incredible level of accountability that comes with the I generation and its demands is actually going to improve the efficiency of our systems better. So while some might say that the I generation could be selfish and demanding, if you flip that, it's actually looking at better ways of providing more for the future and being more accountable. And as you were saying, the way in which they use technology, it may not be intimate in the way that we understand intimacy, but being able to SMS and text as quickly and in real time is also intimate. It's just a different way of thinking about relationships and connectivity. And I'm very pleased to hear the hope, about this new generation, instead of seeing that as a burden, actually. So I think you would have had a chance to post some questions up for us. So are we ready to look at these? Okay, I think I need to look at them. Oh, so we've got the results back from our vote first. Okay, so the question was around technology being a challenge or leadership. 20 people have said that it is an opportunity, and 7 think it's a challenge. Okay, so that's quite encouraging, I think. If it was 50-50, I'd be a bit worried, and I would be thinking that we need to be adapting our message, actually, Mr. Minh, and perhaps we're not having the debate in as refreshing a way as possible. So that's interesting. We'll just keep with that for the moment. Are there questions from the audience ready? Not yet. Okay, so I'm going to go back to some of the questions that we've prepared for you, Professor Hwang, if that's okay. Let's have a look. Did you want to answer this question around challenges? Or do you want something more positive? Go for it.
I think it is, in a way, a big challenge. But unless you have a challenge, you can never develop. You can never improve yourself. So in that sense, it is a big opportunity to me. Speaking of the one that the benefits that we can get from from this, especially digital development, I see a great change from our students' perspective. I think they began to see themselves as a what we call a global citizen. We live here in Korea. It's a very small country in the very far eastern side, attached somehow to the big China and Russia. And on our right-hand side, there's a big country, Japan. But then by using this digital development in our class, the students, as I mentioned, began to see they could function as a person, a global citizen, on a more equal status, to give their opinion as an opinion, who could really talk about Korea's serious, for instance, situation, the confrontation, for example, confrontation between the South and then the North. They can easily put their opinion into their digital-based courses and getting information or support or sometimes debate from their neighboring countries' students and also faculty members. We pay attention to where we live, but then we have to be able to look at the issues, more so of global issues as well. For instance, climate change, or some other really serious problems in the Middle East, for instance, or some problems in Africa, for instance, lack of water. What are they supposed to do? All these issues are our issue. And they see this through this connectedness through the courses by massive open online courseware, and the opinions from the students from all over the world, and also researchers from all over the world. I think that really changes our students' perspectives, that they are Korean, but then at the same time, they are a global citizen, which means they are responsible for Korea, but they also are responsible as an international person, and a person who lives in this international society where we have to really collect our idea for peaceful coexistence with the person from the other culture and also a person from another religious background. So I think it really widens their perspective, and that they get bigger and bigger in their psychology. So even if they are making very small mistakes, and they can also sometimes fail in their classes. I mean, they can low grade from their classes. It doesn't really matter. By looking at the whole huge perspective of being a global citizen, and later they become more and more responsible of what they do, even on a daily basis. That's the change, very meaningful change, as a college student and as a youth in this century.
Thank you, Dr. Hwang. I think your answer goes back to the theme of this conference, which is around the race for global talent. And if technology is enabling students in Korea and Vietnam and Indonesia to be a part of a global community, that has to be liberating and positive, whatever the challenges that come with this journey. So very revealing. I have a question from the audience. I'm just going to flip around because I'm feeling a bit challenged because I can't read unless I turn around. So Professor Andy Chun, you have a question. Are there any resistance from faculty members on the use of technology at your university? And if not, why? And if so, how did you handle it? So let's take that question first. Mr. Minh, Dr. Minh, would you like to handle that?
Yeah. If I have a chance to vote, I don't have my phone here. I will vote for. It's a challenge because I will tell a true story. 4 years ago, when I decided to start with blended learning and flipped class at our school. At the beginning, when I talking about the idea to one department of English, they may teach students to with the project-based learning, flipped class, and blended learning. That means a half of the contact hour will be removed, and we have to build a system that students can study at home, and they can interact with the software, and they have to recording their voice, because recording their voice is more confident for students to talking with others, and they can repeat, and only one teacher know how you speak. And I think that is will be very nice pictures, and the staff will support it. But when I raised to the the department, 20 staff, and only 2 staff agree. And the other said, no, we cannot do that. Only 2 staff support. And I'm a little bit shocked, and I think that should be more. And okay, I decided that, okay, I need 2 staff to make a pilot project to teach for 4 classes, 1 for 2 classes and another one for 2 classes. And after a month, 2 classes with 1 teacher totally failed. And another staff said, okay, I said it will be failed. But fortunately, another one is run very well. And we have a same examination at the end to compare with the traditional class and a pilot class. And the result is very nice. The skill is of the student, they get better result. Because they think that online learning is lower qualified, but I don't think so. The more important thing that the IT should make better quality and also more productivity. And the contact hours is decreased is about 1/2, and that means we have more space for another student also. We don't need to support for the class hours and many things following. And after that, the winning teachers have another one who failed to improve the class. And at the end, after 4 months of this semester, 2 classes finished, and the result is slightly better than the traditional one. And now, after that, another teachers listen to the 2 young teachers, and they agree that we may change for
I think that's a wonderful way of demonstrating what works. I mean, the whole idea of introducing change is not to assert that it's better because others say it is, but to actually pilot and demonstrate. But I was actually struck by your honesty, because I thought you would say in our university that wouldn't happen because we're a new university and we're 8 years old, and that we recruit academic faculty staff that would go all the way and they live and breathe it. So thank you for the honesty. What I might do is flip another question to President Quang instead of repeating this one, if that's okay. So we have one from Dr. Leo Chong. Do professors feel less connection with their students when teaching online? And if so, how do you build a rapport? And I think you already talked about that intimacy before, so maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on that question for us.